Hi, I'm Mark and I'm the founder of Timbertiles. We're here on beautiful British Columbia, Vancouver Island for an installation of timber tiles. I'd love to invite you inside to have a look. Welcome inside this beautiful home where we're installing our gray wolf tile today. The architect specified it to match in with the ceiling and the cabinetry, the floors. You can see a wall behind us that's taken about 2.5 hours or so. We're just finishing up. Dave, also one of the owners, is doing the scribe work required to fit it to the ceiling. This is a completely eco-friendly wood wall tile. I think you're going to love it. So let's have a look at some of the tools that you'll require. This is the wall that we'll be installing this morning, but we'll go over a few of the tools that we need. Very few tools, and basically they're woodworking tools that you probably already have. You're going to want yourself a tape measure. I use a small combi square because it's easy to use. Pliers if you have to pull out an extra nail, a multi-screwdriver, a blade. I do all my layout with painter's tape. A sanding block because we're working with wood, but we're also working with tile, and so I always have some shims and some tile spacers. I use 1/8 inch. When adjusting the tiles, I like to use a rubber mallet and a pry bar, and I'll show you that in a minute. This makes really quick and easy work of laying out the tile. We use a PL Premium, just a few dollops, but you can use any polyurethane floor adhesive, will also work. You could do a trowel on if you're more comfortable with that. And the reason I like this is that we're not a peel and stick product where you stuck it to the wall and then there's no adjustment, which is a real hassle. While we're waiting for the adhesive to cure, we use a 23 gauge air nail, and you'll go through about 2 or 3 nails per tile. And when you're running into things like electrical boxes, you'll probably want a box extension. We're adding on an extra 3/8 of an inch with our tile. You're always laying out, so you're going to want a 4-foot level by you all the time. And then for cutting the tile, it's really simple. We just use a jigsaw, and that'll do 95% of the cuts that you need. I also use a multi-tool. Sometimes I do back cuts when I'm coming into drywall that's a little too thick. It's nice to have the multi-tool. And then we use a driver for removing what might be on the wall or some of your electrical work. Some paper towel for cleanup, but really this is it. It's very few tools. Okay, so let's have a look at what you get in your box of timber tiles. There's going to be an instruction sheet. That'll tell you how to lay out your tile and how to get everything going. We have 4 packets of tile. This is all done in a shrink wrap, which is completely compostable. In fact, our tiles are compostable. Everything's done in a hard wax oil. I think though the easiest way to show you how to put up the tiles is to get over to the wall and start putting them up. True to any tile job, your layout and your preparation is key to a great installation. We also want to make sure that if we're going over drywall like this, or it could be plywood or whatever material, as long as it's flat and it's primed and it's smooth. So I run a level across this and I make sure that there are no humps that we're going to have to deal with. If there is quite a lot of discrepancies, then I would probably do a troweled on urethane adhesive, so it's more like setting the tile. But this is so flat and beautiful, we're just going to be popping the tile straight onto this wall. So the builders here on this project are fantastic. I hope you've seen that in seeing this house is beautiful. But we still are going to check to make sure that our walls are all plumb and that our floor is level and that our ceiling is level, that we have no surprises. In this case, we do have a slight hump in the floor and the ceiling does lift a little bit. So when it comes to the layout, we know that we're going to start with a level board that we're going to put everything on, and that's going to leave us a half tile at the bottom. And by the time we've gone all the way to the top, we're going to end up with a half tile at the top. So we'll scribe the top, we'll scribe the bottom. We're going to start with a full tile here, and that's going to come across to a half tile at the end. The truth is, whenever I'm coming up to any of the boundaries, I scribe all of it. So it doesn't matter if everything's plumb and straight and true or going in crazy S-curves. If you scribe, you're good. There's lots of YouTube videos on how to scribe for anybody in the tile industry. Okay, because we're coming to an outside corner, we're going to come into some trim. We just used a piece of hemlock and we routed in for our tile to fit into it and finished it with the same Broda color that we use with our tile. So we're going to bring it to the edge here and we're going to use it as our starter course. So we're going to make it nice and trim with this outside wall, and that allows us just to work all the way up making sure that we've got the right tile placement. Again, if the wall was not quite plumb, then this is an opportunity for us to plumb this edge. Tile is essentially just a grid, and so at layout, we're shifting around the grid so that all of the different features of the wall are accommodated for, right? We just don't want to end up with tiny little slivers of wood right on joints where things look awkward. And typically our tile are 13 inches by 3 inches. There's plenty of room for moving it around and finding that sweet spot. And finding that sweet spot is what makes the installation look great. So it's worth the time. Okay, so let's get at it. We'll do the level line. You can see here at the bottom, we've got a ledger board. This is actually the same molding that's used throughout the house. We're going to use it just as a starter for our tile, and then we're going to remove it and infill those scribe pieces that I already described. So that's in place. This is in place. We're ready to do our first course. But in the layout, we want to know where that first course should start. On any tile project, I always start by laying out the tile on the floor to see where all the reveal lines line up. And that way I can shift this right now and make sure that it's going to work out really well with the plugs, or sometimes there's light fixtures on the wall. Whatever it is, any recesses in the wall, I want to make sure that the lines are coming out beautifully. So in this case, we're going to start there with a full tile, and we're going to end up at this end with just a half tile, and that we can scribe. So love it, that's great. The next thing that I normally do is I lay out all of the tile for the height. So I open up a box and sort out all the tile. And in this case, our wall is 8 feet long. So I will do this for 8 feet, and then I will measure the wall, and I will measure it compared to the height of my tiles. I already did that, and I know that this is the magic distance that I want to start my first full tile on. And that's going to have a half tile at the top that I can, again, scribe to the ceiling. So it's going to be great. Sometimes you'll find that you actually just want to start with a quarter tile, or you might be able to start with a full tile right on the floor. We always lift off of a floor by 1/8 of an inch, because if somebody needs to come in and replace the floor or damage occurs, you don't want your tile hard up against that floor. You just want a little bit of a reveal. We reveal to the wall by 1/8 of an inch. We reveal to the ceiling by 1/8 of an inch as well. It's not that our product moves very much, it's just it allows a little bit of tolerance for when you're scribing. Okay, our tile are 13 inches by 3 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put 4 little dollops of adhesive. It doesn't require that much to stay on the wall. It's just that it allows us to kind of wiggle them into place, because really we're setting the tile. And so then I slide it into place, and I just give it the one push to make sure that everything is plumb and flush and lined up. And then I nail it on. And don't fuss with it too much, because you don't want to push the adhesive out in one area and not in another and start rocking it around. You just want to put the tile on and move on. When we're doing large areas, we usually are doing 4 tile at a time, and that gives us a length that's over 4 feet. And then usually we do about 4 courses, and then we check it for level. So I'll pop the level on here. We're still perfectly level, but I'll also look underneath, and I'll just make sure that all the tiles are tapped up to the underside of the level, and that all of these joints are looking like they're nicely lining up. And if they aren't, because we're using an adhesive that takes a while to set, it's really easy to get in there with a pry bar and just do some little final adjustments and make sure that everything is sitting nicely. Also, if you take the bar and you take a rubber mallet, you can take it, hook it, and just give it a tap down on all of the joints, and any kind of adjustment that it's out usually settles itself right away. The tile are built to really exact tolerances. So as long as you set up level and square, you should be able to keep it level and square throughout the whole installation, no problem at all. We've been at this installation for about 2 hours now, and it's going along really smoothly. I'd like to point out how clean the job site is. A bit chaotic because we have this cameras and stuff, and there's 2 of us doing a small wall. But if you compare us to ceramics, we're a lot lighter to handle, we're a lot cleaner, we're way greener, right? This is an environmentally friendly product in every way. We're sequestering carbon. And there's no wet work, right? There's no little shards of ceramic that we're dragging around on the floor that could ruin things. We don't have to come back tomorrow to wipe everything down. We don't have to seal any grout. In fact, we have no grout, and you know, grout is nasty. That's where all the dirt collects. So I think that once you finish this installation of your timber tile, I think you'll be hooked. Okay, so our tile are part of the circular economy. And what I mean is that our tile can be taken off the wall and reused again on another installation. They come off just by putting in a pry bar and they pop off easily, right? Now, I've caught it in time because this is a tile I just put up, but this tile has a screwed up edge right here. And you know, all of our tile are made by hand. We make thousands of tile, and on occasion something like this happens. So I've caught it right now, I'll take it off. I'm just going to cut this tile and use it somewhere else in the installation. It's not a waste at all. But if you were to finish this installation and found that there was a screwed up tile, at any time you can take a pry bar in and just lever it, and we went with a half lap joint because that allows a single tile to be removed and you could replace it. This is also Seikos, which is a hard wax commercial floor finish, and it's very, very durable. So we've had occasions where people have luggage that's hit the wall and left a black smear. It's fine. You can even take a scraper and just scrape it off. I mean, I can take coins and it's very durable, the tile. Most of the time you should be able to fix it without removing it, but I always keep a few tile left over from an installation in case something horrific happens and you need to replace just one tile at a time. So I'll pull this one off and keep going. This is just a pure layout of tile, but let's say we had an electrical box or something that you were going to contend with. So I'm just going to quickly mock up as if I was cutting around a box, but I put it pretty close to the edge of the wood because I want you to see how easily and cleanly it cuts. And I'm not at all worried about breaking the wood. Like if I try to snap this, it's going to be, it's really hard to break it. And that's because the grain is running at this angle here. It's not running parallel to the wood, it's running across the wood. And that makes for a really strong tile. I can also cut it really thin. It doesn't snap easily. So we just put together this wall, easy, clean, and green, right? Please come to timbertiles.ca, and any comments that you have, questions, we'd love to see the photos of what you're installing. That would be fantastic. Thanks for joining the Timbertiles story.